The landscapes of our lives are for learning, where experience is our teacher. When we gather together to share our resources, we are destined to love and thrive.
Hey, good morning, Maureen.
Good morning, Pierre. Let's chat
Well,
it up.
it's starting to lighten up here. It's actually, there's some sunlight coming out, which is better than the way the morning started. It was pitch black.
Do I look like an angel with the sun streaming in behind me?
You always look like an angel,
You see a
Maureen.
ray of sun?
I had that experience yesterday. I was at work, which I get to go out and look at some properties here in Sonoma County. Um, I do some environmental work, and I'm driving through redwoods in a fog with the sun streaming through these openings and
Cool.
illuminated. It looked like some kind of Renaissance revelation painting. It was dark and green and red, and then these rays of sun and the misty
Cool.
fog. It was just it took it just my mind just went, oh, this is so amazing. And I get to do this, and then I drove right by the place where I was supposed to stop.
Good. I love it. I get to do this. Oh, that little word. I get to, not I have to.
Oh
Talk
gosh.
about the difference between rigid ways of like pushing yourself through life. I have to do this. I have to do this. I
I
have to
know.
do this. And you just shift to that. Wow, I get to do this. And even get a little lost on the
I
way
know.
to what
I
you have to
arrived.
do.
The guy was waiting for me because we're so off the beaten track. He's waiting for me at this corner that we arranged to meet. And somewhere during the course of the thing, he's showing me parts of his property, which is his family came
You
over
meet people on a street corner. What you
well,
do for
this
work.
is a country corner without real roads. Google Maps has no freaking clue because redwoods have their own way of like evading Google satellite imagery and hiding everything underneath. This guy's family came over in the 1880s in a covered wagon, and he's showing me his property. Like,
Cool.
are you kidding me? Are
That
you
sounds
kidding?
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And
Very Ansel Adamsy, your description before. Ansel
oh,
Adams, remember the painter?
yes,
That's
yes,
what it
those
made me think of.
pictures of Yosemite. I always call Yosemite nature's cathedral. I mean, I'm not the
Yeah,
first, but it's
gorgeous.
just remarkable. So,
Mm.
I,
But what were we going to
are we
talk?
going to actually talk about Dr. Phil, which is what you wanted to talk
Oh yeah. Dr. Phil was. I was just
about? How does
saying,
this happen?
Dr. Phil was on Joe Rogan yesterday, and I like Dr. Phil. And he was
You
just
like,
saying,
wait.
I like
You
Dr.
like
Phil.
Dr. Phil? He's the
Yeah,
bald-headed dude that
yeah,
kind of like has all
yeah.
these
Kind of Oprah. Oprah made him kind of
the
famous.
Oprah doctor. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Not Dr. Oz, the other Oprah doctor, but psychologist. Yeah. I think he's from Texas. Got that southern drawl.
Okay.
No, anyways, this is the second time I think, or maybe the third time he was on Joe Rogan, but he was talking about how his show has changed and what people are concerned about has changed over the years. I mean, he's been doing this show for a long time, and
What's his
um
show though?
the Dr. Phil show,
Yeah.
he has, people on and families on and, basically dealing with, you know, everyday problems of living,
Oh, okay.
like
Because I just
relationship problems, being bullied, all kinds of stuff that,
okay.
marital problems, infidelity, not
So
Jerry
basically,
Springer,
kind of
but
like popular culture psychology on a
yeah,
television show,
hmm
reality,
yeah,
whatever. Okay, that's
yeah.
good because for people's edification, I don't have a TV, so go ahead.
Mm. Well, anyways, you know, he was just talking about how people are really concerned about they write in questions and, whatever, and their concerns have changed and shifted over the last many years. And so he changed the
Wow.
format of his show to address that. And he just talking about schools mostly, and like education, and parents are concerned about what kids are learning in school. Are they learning? What are they learning? He said, should I go down there and find out what's going on at my school with my kids?
Uh,
And then he's just talking about how, you know, kids now and people now are really, this generation is watching people live life instead of living life, because of the phones and the social media, and that a lot of life is, this narrow tunnel of looking through the phone and watching other people live their life and
well,
taking
there's
cues from that, and
well,
just
it's
how it shifted and the
it
distress
is
that it's been
interesting.
causing. Yeah.
I'll just piggyback on that. You're talking about this guy, Dr. Phil, and a show and it evolving and everything. And just anecdotally, a few people that I've spoken with in the last couple of weeks have mentioned that either in their family or maybe it was a neighbor or something, that the adult children are just living at home and they're occupied in their room
Yeah.
playing a video game or watching something, but they're not actually doing anything. And it
No.
and the parent in the one instance that I'm thinking about is sort of okay with it. It doesn't, they don't really know how to deal with it.
Mm.
And I received that and thought, wow, that's that is different. So yeah, maybe Dr. Phil's onto something there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a phenomenon that a lot of other people are talking about too, is, and I know in my everyday work that that's the thing, that people's social life is spending a lot of time in their room, in their bedrooms, doing everything from their bedrooms. No wonder their sleep problems too, right? Like eating in their rooms,
Yeah,
socializing in their rooms, alone, but with others. And
yeah,
it's a whole different thing.
it's
Obviously,
really
not
different.
not getting sunlight, not
And
getting
then
and moving.
yeah, and then I always come back to the question is, well, how is this working out? I mean, where's the money coming from? In other words, like if you, I mean,
It's not.
the way I grew up, it was sort of like, well, it's not free. You have to go out and work. I remember I took a year off from school between freshman and sophomore year.
Hmm.
And after I got done doing some volunteering, I worked on a political campaign. Um, my mom said, well, what are you going to do? You can't live here. And we were in a very small, there were 5 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. Long story. House had burned down, but and we were there. We weren't going to go anywhere else. And sometimes 6 when my grandfather was there. And so yeah, it was
The
like,
expectation
we're
was,
out of here, buddy.
yeah, that was your parents' expectation. And I don't know why parents aren't expecting that. I'm sure many are and some aren't. And it's sort of like,
I mean, just because you have an extra bedroom, like we didn't, right? So
mm,
that was clear. Um, does that mean that somebody can just live there? And the other side of the
if
coin is,
if you
why
so
not?
choose,
I mean, why not? I
right?
mean, people used to, in the old days, they had, not everybody went off and had a job. I
Yeah,
don't
I think, no, I think it's about a question. It's not about where to live. It's how constructive are you being in your life? Are you doing anything? Are you contributing? Are you moving forward? Everybody needs to work. And I don't mean just a job. I mean to be constructive and have something to do with their lives, like in their selves. And you're going to stagnate
Oh
and
man, you're
just sit there
triggering
and
me.
play video games.
Maureen,
Oh, you're getting triggered?
you're triggering me. You're imposing your value system on the
No,
whole.
I'm talking about health. Yeah, it's not about a value system. Okay, do we value health? I would, if you want to be here and keep living, it's probably a priority. So it's just a
We
basic truth of
yeah.
human being is that you move to be healthy. And so you can sleep in a room in your parents' house, but like, are you going to be, are
Well,
you developing yourself? Are you moving forward? Are you
okay. So
getting out into the world?
let me just stop you there, and I'm going to forget the book reference, which is just driving me absolutely
Maybe
crazy.
I'll know it. Say it. Go ahead.
No, I don't.
Coddling of the American Mind.
No. This is on the origins of life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a mystery that has been solved essentially. I mean, so how did how did inorganic chemistry, rocks and
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Mm-hmm.
become living creatures?
Mm-hmm.
And it appears that they've cracked this mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not one person, it's a whole lot of people all around
Mm-hmm.
working. And the circumstances that created life here on the planet Earth have to do with a cave and underwater and a vent and different
What
chemicals,
the
different chemicals that actually
Okay.
come together.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. And so, and
Right.
so it's super unique, even though there's all these planets out there. It
Mm-hmm.
may not be that common. It's so unusual, the circumstances for this to occur, to create life.
Yeah.
And even at its very essence, in fact,
Mm-hmm.
this early molecule, it
Oh,
has to move forward
yeah.
to live.
Yeah.
And that's its requirement. And
Yeah.
if somehow it can't move forward,
Mm-hmm.
change, I'm not
Yes.
explaining it very
No, you
well,
are. You are. I know
but
what you're saying.
this is the
Life.
very beginning of life. And now that's what you're saying. And it's just in us that we have to go.
Exactly. Exactly. The brain is designed sensory motor. It's designed to move us to survive. Like when we were just a polywog with the spine, whatever, a slop, as you were saying, a molecule. I know I learned that what you were saying from uh the how we feeling is knowing and the strange order of things by Antonio Damasio, who wrote both of those things. And it was about consciousness and the roots, the beginning of like us being these singular cell organisms and what you were referring to, basically a molecule or even whatever smaller. And it was
Right.
all about that, the development of, you know, who we are as organisms, yeah, at a cellular deep level. And
Right.
it is
It's
about
called,
movement.
it's called, it's called Luca, Luca, not the book,
Hmm.
but what they're searching for, which is life's universal common ancestor. And
Mm,
it's not like a virus, it's not a bacteria, it's smaller than that. And
mm.
it's um it's just it's just amazing.
How did we go from Dr. Phil to that? That's hilarious. And about people living in their basements. But we
Well,
talk about locomotion.
that's why this podcast is so
Locomotion.
popular with millions and millions of people out there.
Locomotion though. And it's like I work with so many people who are just stuck and stagnant and too afraid to move. It's like that's what your system needs. You've got, move forward. One tiny baby step, you know? Like
Right.
that's okay. Movement begets movement. And then that's good for you. Literally good for your cells.
Right.
It's how we function. It's how we are. Right.
Right.
So I
Well, I
think
think
this video game playing, being stuck in one space is like unhealthy. Obviously, it's not a values thing. It's not I'm telling people how to live, and it's not
right.
about video games being bad. And you can play them some of the time, but it's when it's unhealthy.
You're triggering tens and thousands of people, and they're not
Well,
gonna
that's what
listen to us anymore because you're telling them what to do. Oh
no,
my
that
gosh.
was that was what Dr. Phil was talking about, Joe Rogan from the podcast. Exactly what you're saying. You're being facetious, but that's literally what's happening. And people don't trust, they don't trust, you know, it's so hard. It's all tangled up with like
Well,
trusting people and
you're gonna like my column, which I'm gonna send out later today.
yeah.
It's on Veterans Day, and it talks about trust, and it talks about you know, our common, what we have in common and things like that. I think you'll
Mm.
like it. Having a son in the service. I think you'll find the tribute
Well, the
nice.
things in common piece just ticked off in my head that Dr. Phil was saying about people not talking to each other in this country and how problematic that is, and listening,
Right.
and really what listening is and isn't, and that it's negotiation. We have to negotiate with people. And he said, he was talking about the FBI or people who negotiate for a living. And what he learned was that, like, you start off talking to people about what you have in common, what you do share. And if you start there, there's way more that you'll find that you have in common than not. And then
Oh,
you can
that's
use
today.
what you have in common to
That's today's
negotiate the
column.
things that don't, right? Yeah.
That's
So,
today's column. That's today's column. And that's the magic of, I'll use the word transactions, but a better word would be interactions. And
mhm.
we interact often, and we're pushed to interact by what we have as differences. I mean, it's pointed out to us all the time. It's in the
Oh
media,
yeah,
it's in the
online. Yep, yep.
newspapers. But when you choose to do it the way the guy from the FBI said, and you find your commonality,
Hmm.
then life is so much better and richer. And we you know we, the like, the brain is focused on, you know it's a it's what
Survival threat.
it's a distinguishing machine, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
It's making all these, like,
Categorical judgments and so forth. Yeah.
right,
Hmm.
right. And so common
Deducing
if
logic.
it's
Yeah.
common, it's banal. It's just, oh, okay, fine. I don't have to worry. It's not a threat. I'm in a
Hmm.
comfort zone. I'm really focused on threats. What's different? What's
Hmm.
going to be, not
What's
good for
foreign
me?
to me? And you're right.
Right, right. And so then this whole big foundational base that we enjoy and we stand on, of our commonality as humans, is erased because somebody presents with a different language or a different look
Mm.
or this or that. It's nonsense.
You said it. It's the where our attention is going, and media is forcing it to the extremes, the reductionist, all or nothing, left and right, and so we're constantly being bombarded to look at the differences rather than the similarities, and we're not seeing each other as people. And you said, like, I was going like this with my hands, it's the
Right.
in not a transaction but interaction, interpersonal. And I
Yeah.
think being in person as a body, and Dr. Phil was saying, like, there's things people say online you would never say to somebody in an elevator. You
Right.
wouldn't say it, and that piece, we're apes, man, and we're missing that piece because we're just using language as representation online, and it's so intangible, and we can't see a person's face, and we interact so differently, and it's a huge problem. And I think that's a huge problem for those kids who are in their parents' basement and just interacting that way. And then no wonder there's dysregulation and problems there, because your system needs to be with actual bodies, right? And interacting and talking about what you share and have in
We've
common and
talked about
not
it.
taking that for granted.
Yeah, you've talked about it before, how, our bodies are built, our brains, bodies, nervous systems. I got that plug in for all the different points that we're touching in spirit. Are co-regulated by people around us, and stuff like that. Well, that's our little podcast for this morning, where we went from the life's common universal ancestor, having started off with
Luca.
Dr. Phil.
Mm. I love it.
All right. Do we have any audience members still with us? I don't know. Anyway, who cares? We don't care. We're just sitting here. It's fine. We're going to do this.
Trying to make ourselves better people by learning how to talk.
Oh, well, listen too. Yeah.
Listen, yeah.
Hey, thanks for sharing your time listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Maureen from Landscapes for Learning. Learn to live and live to learn.
Right. Sorry, I stepped on your outro. I'm Pierre, and I'm with Yoga Heals, and my friends, my dear friends, peace through grace, I pray.
Yoga heals everywhere.
I know.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.